right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hope you guys can see and hear me okay. I did some OS updates earlier today, so hopefully it didn't break anything. How are you all doing tonight? Hopefully well. So, before we get going here, I just wanted to sort of take a few minutes to kind of discuss what's going on with the channel, some recent happenings, some changes that I think need to be made, and just a couple of other things that I've sort of made a list about. So, with that in mind, hopefully, more people will kind of file in as we talk here, but basically, I wanted to sort of take a step back in tonight's stream and sort of get an idea of where we are, as well as discuss some issues that have sort of kind of come up with this. So, where we are right now is we are making changes to our material system, and that is to support custom material types, which is needed for our terrain feature. So our terrain feature, we found that we needed this change, so we're sort of in a feature branch within a feature branch, which sometimes happens, right? Sometimes you can't plan these things out perfectly, and that's just fine. And both of these features are kind of rather large, and as you guys have noted, we've spent several streams on each of these things, and I had to sort of put the terrain thing on hold while we do the material thing, and then we're going to go back to the terrain thing. And this has sort of gotten me feeling lately like we're not really progressing at a decent rate on the stream as what I would like to progress at. So I feel like we need to make some changes here. And it's not going to be anything bad or anything crazy. It's just I got to thinking about how we could maybe be a little bit more productive and maybe a little bit more efficient with this. So part of the reason I started this stream up to begin with was to sort of show you guys how I approach dev in general, my thought process, and all of that. And that is not going anywhere. We're going to maintain that going forward. However, we need to sort of adjust a little bit to allow the pacing of this to continue. So taking a step back real quick, let's have a quick snapshot of where we are in the overall process. So Kohi's been going for about 2.5 years almost, and that's basically with no breaks. I think I took like a week here and there, but those were generally due to me being sick or something like that. So we haven't really had any breaks in development in that time. But in that time, we have grown the YouTube channel to a little over 10,000 subscribers, which is huge. That's massive. I did not think my channel would ever get there, frankly, and the fact that it has is really awesome, and I want to thank each and every one of you watching this on YouTube when it goes up there later. But also, we started our Twitch channel, and that is now over 200 followers, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in and following along as well, because without you guys, none of this stuff would exist, okay? So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly. So where we are is, it's actually June now, and we were talking about at the very beginning of this year that we want to make a game. So the problem with that is we're halfway through the year, and we are not at a position where we can make a game yet. There's still a few features that we're going to need in order to do that. Now we have the ability to load and unload a scene. We could probably cobble together a very basic UI. So those things I'm not really too concerned about. We are going to have a full-blown UI system that we're going to develop eventually, but we could probably make something out of, sort of the objects we have now. Some of the things that we don't have that are kind of a big deal, though, is we don't have any sort of timeline system, animation system, things like that. Theoretically, the terrain could probably wait. For the game idea I had, I really wanted one, but theoretically, I guess I could put that off if I wanted to. But my point is we're already halfway through the year, and we haven't even started on game development yet to sort of test our engine. And so that means that we sort of need to kick into high gear in terms of how we are progressing with the engine, right? We need to speed things up a little bit. And right now, we're currently only developing on stream. So everything that is done, with the exception of a few small things, have been done live on stream, which is awesome. But at the same time, it's very limiting because I can only really commit to 1 day a week. And I've missed that a couple of times. But it's generally like 1 to 2 days a week that I can commit to. And where I can only really have about 2 hours a piece with that, it's not really enough time for me to be able to push this as far as it needs to go. So we need to progress at a faster rate, but I can't commit to streaming more just because I've got too many other things going on in life and whatnot. And so we're going to have to change gears a little bit, and we're going to have to do some off-camera work. And that's going to generally be some of the more mundane stuff that I don't necessarily need to repeat any further on camera. Things like our parser here, like you guys have seen me write parser code, right? So things like this, I probably am going to skip doing on stream. Things like this, the changes that I'm making to the material system, I'm probably going to make most of the rest of those off camera and then review them on camera. I do want to note, though, that everything that I do off camera will, of course, not only have its own set of commits, but it will also be reviewed on stream. So it's not like we're going to just say, well, here's a whole bunch of code and now it works. We're still going to review those things and go over exactly what was done and why. And we are still going to be developing quite a lot on stream. It's just we can't develop everything on stream and still actually manage to get a game out this year. So again, we're not going to create anything too crazy of a game, but we've only got 6 months left in the year, and we've got at least a few months worth of work that needs to be done before we can even think about starting a game, right? So I'm trying to be cognizant of time there. So with that, I also need to kind of bring up another topic that has sort of reared its ugly head lately, and that is the topic of burnout. I've discussed this on my channel a few times, and I figure I should probably bring it up once again because, as I said, I've been at this for 2.5 years with basically no breaks, and I'm starting to feel a little bit burned out. Nothing too crazy, but it is enough where it's been significant, where I've been really feeling it lately. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a small change to sort of recover from that, and then we're going to kick it into high gear after that. So, just between, I do work a full-time job outside of this, of course. So there's that, plus all the other crazy stuff I've had going on in my personal life. Everything is relatively fine. There's not anything catastrophic going on or anything like that. And I'm certainly not trying to complain about it, but it is enough where I've just gone, hey, I need to kind of, give my brain a little bit of a break every once in a while. And, I just haven't taken a step back to sort of catch my breath in quite a while. And what I'm thinking is I'm thinking about taking a 2-week break to reset and come back. And I'm basically just not going to touch this at all for that period, and just kind of give my brain a chance to sort of reset and come back to it fresh, right? And that's not starting tonight. We are still going to do some dev tonight, but I think that's the way I'm going to approach it, right? Just before this gets any worse. And that'll help me come back at this, primed and ready to go. So with that change, and the other changes that I've mentioned in terms of doing off-camera work, and still reviewing it and stuff like that, I think we'll come back in a much, much stronger place. So the other thing is that I do want to focus a little bit more on making some YouTube content. Lately, really the only things that I've been posting to YouTube is uploads of these streams, and I don't want that to just be the only thing that we have there. I do have some more devlogs recorded. I just need to edit them. And I've got some ideas for some other videos that I want to post to the YouTube channel as well. So I want to make a little bit more progress with that and kind of pay a little bit more attention to that as opposed to just streaming only, right? And so, I definitely feel like the off-camera dev is going to help me catch up a little bit, get past some of these huge things that need to be done in order to catch up and be where we need to be. So, if you guys have any questions about that or anything else really tonight, this is sort of a conversational night. Like I said, we're going to do some coding here, but I'm going to keep it kind of light for tonight and potentially maybe even a shorter stream for tonight. So I do want this to be interactive. So if you guys have any questions or you just want to comment or speak to any of the points I've brought up, feel free to go ahead and do so. So I hope all of that makes sense to you guys. And I probably will be posting an abridged version of this on YouTube as well. And yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say about that. So thank you guys for sticking around for that. I was also thinking about maybe having a like an Ask Me Anything type of thing at some point. And so I know I posted about this on the Discord server. If you guys aren't on the Discord server, you might want to go ahead and jump onto that. And I'm going to go ahead and probably reactivate that at some point. But I do want to do an Ask Me Anything because I've gotten a few requests for that over time, and I feel like that might be something we could do now that we have a pretty decent increase in followers and subscribers. So okay, so with all that, let me actually double check here. I don't completely remember where we were. So let me build and run. Thor, hey, I'm sure everybody supports you taking a break. You deserve it. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Yeah, sometimes you just have to kind of step away from it and come back, because you get so lost in the details that you just have to sort of take that step back and look at everything from a bird's eye view. So I definitely think that's going to be useful for sure. I'm going to go ahead and launch testbed here. Okay, it looks like we've hit some sort of exception. You know what? I'm going to close this buffer because I don't need it open. We're failing on a mem copy. So let's see. We're setting a uniform. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we have address, which does have a value. The value itself exists. Let's see, what else do we have here? Uniform size. What does uniform size have in it? Uniform size does exist. So we are just setting this. Let's see. This is an instance apply. So this is definitely something we broke in our material system. Let me take a look at the console. Let's see if anything sticks out to us there. I don't think. Yes, we have some errors in our console. Unable to load material because its shader was not found. Shader.builtin.ui. This is likely a problem with the material asset. Shader.builtin.ui. This is test UI material. Interesting. Okay, do we have anything before that? Who's Ellie? Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, let me just double check our logs here, see if we got anything else. I don't think we did. No, that seems fine. This is all our loaders. Yeah, okay, so our log doesn't indicate anything previous, so this doesn't fall out from anything. It's just trying to failed to load material resource, returning null pointer. That's because of this. That's fallout from that. Because its shader was not found. Shader.builtin.ui. Do we not have... So this is test material. Oh, wait, was it test UI material? Test UI material. Test UI material. So let's see. So this guy is shader.builtin.ui. Well, this is for the Kohi logo. Okay. So I wonder why I can't find this guy. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at assets. Shaders. Let's expand this a little bit. So we should have built-in shader.builtin.ui. Here's the shader config file for that. And this just loads the built-in UI shader vert and frag. Which I think are both here. Yep, they're both here. So why is it saying it can't find that, I wonder? That is very bizarre. It's interesting that we even got to this point, actually. So I guess what we should probably do is have a look at the material system. Let's see. So this is the initialize. So I guess we could set a breakpoint here and launch. See if we can get to this. Okay, step into. So our shader ID is 2, so it did load. Okay, so we return the address of that. Let's see. So here we store off the locations. So if we take a look at, let's see, state pointer should be in here somewhere. Actually, let's take a look at S first. So we have no flags. We do have UBO size, UBO stride. We do have texture maps. We even have push constant ranges, I think. Yep, we even have that. So the shader itself looks correct, which is interesting. Much love. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that feedback. Let's see. So does this really not show us static variables? It only shows us locals. That's kind of poopy. I don't like that, debugger. Why aren't you giving me statics? Let's see. So maybe if I say state pointer here, I guess I have to watch it that way. Okay. So our UI locations, yeah, it looks like that got filled out correctly. So it's parsing the config correctly. So I don't see that as the issue. I believe when we went to go... Well, I think when we went to go apply the instance is when it actually was bleating. So I'm going to continue the application. And yeah, so UI on render, apply instance. Let's actually go there. Let's see. So interesting. Shininess is the one that is missing. It did all the other ones but shininess? So let me look at material locations. $12. So it has a valid location. Have you talked about the game concept I have yet? No, I haven't yet. I really didn't want to let that cat out of the bag until we're actually going to get started on it. I suppose I could unveil it at some point. I don't have it 100% flushed out. It's like maybe 80% of the way there. I do have most of the idea that I want to make. It's going to be a very simple style of game, right? It's not going to be anything complex at all, right? We don't have super complex systems yet. So what I will say is that the first game that we're going to make is super, super simple. And what we're going to do from there is we're going to add features and then every once in a while stop and make a game. And every time we make significant progress, we're going to stop and make a game. And that's basically just to test the features, test the usability of the engine. And we want to keep doing that as we go, right? We're still kind of building the base systems and stuff right now. So it's a little bit early to start that now, which is one of the reasons I'm saying we're probably going to have to pick up the pace a little bit, which I know is counterintuitive with taking a break, but that will actually wind up helping me work faster. So, but yeah, I haven't talked about that. More than likely, what I'm going to do is probably announce it on YouTube, and then show it here on stream when we go to talk about it. So the first place you're going to see it's probably going to wind up being on YouTube. Okay. So this is, I wonder if this means that we don't have, oh, we must have a material, right? Because otherwise, ooh. Invalid ID, invalid generation. Internal ID is 0. Name is default. Okay, diffuse colors 1. The diffuse map texture is what? Default. So we're dealing with a default texture here, which means that the actual material that we have hasn't loaded yet. Okay, that's actually valuable information. Although why this is actually a problem, I'm not 100% sure. So let's get rid of this. Shininess is 0. So we have the correct location, we have the correct value to insert. So let's see. Set by index. So we proceed through this. Shader, the uniform. Set index is 115. That doesn't look right. Shader uniform type is 5632. That's definitely not right. So our uniform information is actually like way foobar. Check out this offset. So that's interesting. So what was index here then? Index is 12. And shader let me do a watch here. So we're going to say shader uniforms. We're going to do at 12 and see what the data looks like for each one of these things. Okay, so index 0 and 1 look okay. 2 looks okay. Let's skip a few down here. Yeah, I was gonna say that seems kind of high actually. So the 7th uniform is fine. The 8th uniform is definitely wrong. That's all rubbish. Okay, so for some reason we're getting an index of 12. And I was gonna say I didn't think we had that many uniforms. Okay, so now I'm wondering, let's see. Oh, that's not the shader config. I want the shader config. So these are the only uniforms we have. It's these guys right here. So like shininess doesn't even make sense to be applied for this. No wonder it's coming back foobar. Let's see. So material system apply instance. This is based off of material locations. It's going into the shader ID for the material shader, not the UI shader. That's the problem, because it should be going into this branch and it's not. Okay. Let me run again. Wondering where we went wrong. Don't spoil anything. Just curious if we were talking Snake or Tic-Tac-Toe, or if you plan to build out something more advanced that you may actually release. So, more than likely, I probably won't bother doing like an official release on the very first game that we put together, only because it's probably not going to be worth releasing, if you know what I mean. Like, it's really just it's not much more than a game jam, I guess you could say, but it's not even going to be that fancy, right? Like game jams you usually kind of release, but this is really just a test to see how our engine is to use, right? So I don't really think it makes sense to release it. It's certainly not going to be anything that's, I think, worthy of release, but maybe we'll see. Because the engine is going to need quite a lot of bit of work also to be able to have a release build, right? Because we don't even actually have that set up yet. So that is an interesting point, though, I need to consider. I'm going to take a note on that, actually. Because we probably ought to handle that at some point soon. At least the ability to build a release build. Okay, so render review. Let's go here. And we'll take a look at M. See, this is an invalid ID. So what even... It's using the default. That's why, because the default material uses the... Oh, I see what's happening. This is probably screwing us. Because we don't have... Okay. We can't actually do that for UI. So what it's doing is it's grabbing the default material and trying to apply it to this UI object that we're drawing, which actually, in theory, that should technically work, but its pipeline, I think, is going to be incompatible now that I think about it. So let's see, shader ID. So the shader... The shader that we're binding against, I think, the shader that we're binding against, I think, is not compatible with the default material, I think is the problem. Let's see. Why can't I find data S? So I guess I could just do it this way. So data. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So we're getting our built-in shader, and then we're trying to bind a material that should actually be using the material shader to try and use that. So I suspect it's actually hitting this line of code here. And what I can do is actually F9 that guy, and I'm going to have to relaunch this because that's a crash. I can do away with this one. I don't think that's the issue. Oh, it didn't hit that. Interesting. So it did not hit this breakpoint, interestingly enough. So packet geometries, what is I? Okay, so we're in the first geometry. So let's have a look at packet. Geometries. This is going to be the first one, so we can just look at this guy. We're going to open up geometry. We're going to get the material. And the material is default. So that is legit. So that makes me think that let's see, did we make changes to what gets the default material? Material system get default. So let's see, the geometry system here, acquire the material. So I don't think that one's not new. This is, that one might actually be a problem. But let's keep looking. Draw geometries. This definitely shouldn't be doing that. We're going to need to fix that. We probably should have a default UI material. On debug event. Okay, that's just our testbed code, so that shouldn't be a problem. I am wondering. Let's see, create geometry. So I don't think we've actually changed anything here. I don't believe, anyway. Oops. I don't think. this one is definitely not right. I wonder how we never hit this before, actually. Like, I really do legitimately wonder, right? Because we only have a default material here. We don't have a default UI material, which is completely different. And this is actually going to be a problem when we introduce other material types too. So now the question is, do I create a default material for the UI and every other type of material that we're going to have? Which would be good for having some sort of fallback so that we don't have these kinds of issues when we actually go to load up objects. You know what, let me, because I'm struggling to remember what I've actually changed on this branch versus master. So let me go to GitHub real quick. And I'm just going to do a quick diff. Let me actually split this out so you guys can see it too. So I'm basically just doing a diff between our material Redux and our base main branch. I don't think I did anything to this in terms of how defaults are actually obtained. I think most of this is actually just this stuff. K-string, yeah, we know about that. The material loader, mesh loader. Oh, it might be the mesh loader. Font system, material system. I don't think we changed anything in terms of how defaults are gathered, though. See, this is part of the other issue that I'm running into is like where these updates are so far spaced out, I sometimes lose track of what I've changed. Let's see. So here's one of the main pieces that I changed. This is having to do with material types, load material. Material type fong. Oh. That's actually interesting as well. So we have this material config. And I wonder what type of material I'm getting for a UI material. But that's not in there yet. that may be the entire issue, because we actually don't have that in here either. I'll bet the loader isn't taking that into account, and that is probably why it is failing. So if I go to the loader, where was that? That was down here somewhere. Material loader. So only if version is greater than or equal to 2, then we try to actually parse this. Otherwise we don't. Resource data type. Do we default that to something? We do not. So, yeah, there's a couple things afoot here then. So basically what's happening is it's essentially defaulting to 0 because we're not defaulting its mode, right, or its material type. So let's see, this should only exist for version 2 plus materials. But we don't actually set it anywhere, do we? So actually, that's not even where I want to put it. I want to put it up here at the top. Wow, what are you doing, Vim? All right. Type. Material type. Fong is not right. Let's change Fong to material type UI. Which I'm not 100% sure I love either. Because technically UI materials don't have any sort of lighting model, right? I mean, we could, I suppose, categorize it as custom. But the problem with that is the custom logic isn't quite as quick because it has to sort of do everything dynamically, which is never going to be as quick or efficient. Whereas our material type for UI is more specific, right? But how is our version 1 going to know about that? I don't think it's going to. It's basically just defaulting to material type unknown, which I think is why none of the stuff that we expect to be created is created. Okay. So I guess UI is going to be the way that we want to go on that. That does open a can of worms, though, because type doesn't exist on version 1 material files, which means that we'll have to upgrade our UI materials to version 2. Which I guess isn't a huge deal, just kind of annoying. We break that sort of backwards compatibility in this case for UI materials, but it is what it is, I suppose. I don't want that default. I think I want to leave it as unknown. And technically this is already set because of the memory is zeroed out, but I want to be explicit about it. Default material, let's see. Wait a minute though. Oh, this is part of the problem too. So resource data shader name is built-in material. And it's defaulting to that, which is going to also be wrong for UI materials. All right. Well, let's add our condition here first. So we'll say else if strings equal I. Trimmed value, and we'll just change this to UI. So if we have that, resource data type equals material type UI. All right, so we'll at least get it in there. Yeah, we're gonna have to upgrade that to version 2. So that means that test UI material. That means this guy is going to have to be version 2. And then we're also going to have to do over here. Let's see, which one did I update? I think Cobblestone. I wanted to open on the other screen, but okay. So basically just need to edit this real quick to make it look like this guy. Okay, so version 2, type equals UI. Name is there, that's fine. Shader we'll put up here. Let's see. And then all we need to do is set diffuse map and diffuse color. So we'll do map first. So name equals diffuse. Filter min equals linear. You know what? I'm going to copy this because that's going to take a stupidly long time to type all that out. All right. So we got the min, mag, UVW, repeat. This is going to be what is it? Just Kohi, right? So that's that. And then we can also do this property. So I'll put that here, right? And that's diffuse color, and that's going to be white. So I can actually delete that. Okay. So now we have that file set. Let's see. There's a few places where we check for material type, so let's have a look at that. It's mostly going to be a material system, I think. Let's see. So we set it here. When we parse it, that's our default. Okay, so let's, I guess, go ahead and do this one first. So we'll add a else if config type equals material type UI. And then all we really need to do here is just this guy. So do that. Okay. So that's that. So here is another place that we're going to have to change. Let's see. So I'm going to add this right here, and this is actually going to wind up overlapping our previous logic a little bit. So else if config type equals material type UI. Let's see. So we actually only have one map and one property, I think, is all we have here. One map and one property. All right. So I'm actually not going to do all this looping business here because I don't think any of that is needed. We only have one of each, so only one map and a property. So just use the first. To do, if this changes, update this to work as it does above. Okay, so in this case, we can say M diffuse color equals config properties 0 value v4. All right. And then we can say the we need to do if not sign map. This needs the config maps sub-0 dot name. Actually, wait. Nope, reading the wrong line there. Assign map needs the address of material diffuse map. Then it needs the address of config maps 0. Then it needs m name, material name, and what's the last property? Some default texture. So I guess we'll just say texture get default diffused texture. Okay. And so if that fails, obviously, then we need to return false. Okay. And that should cover us for that material type. All right. Send it off to the renderer to acquire resources. So technically, I guess in this case, if we want material type Fong, yeah, let's go ahead and basically just copy this, right? So we'll say else if config type equals material type UI, right? Because we do have a default that we can use for this potentially, right? So we'll say if config shader name, then we'll use that as the override. So we'll say s equals shader system get config shader name. Otherwise, we'll say s equals shader system get shader dot built-in dot material. Right. So we've got that. We've already handled this. So I think that might be everything we need to do. We may still need to actually handle this default material business, but I'm going to actually go ahead and build real quick. And run. See what we get. Probably the same place. Yep, it kind of looks that way. So let's actually go. Let's go here. You know what, let me close some of these other buffers. Let's go. Yeah, let's do apply instance. Let's see if it's actually. It's interesting that it worked for these ones. And didn't poop itself until it got here. Oh, mister, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay, so I still suspect that this is the issue with the material type. So this is still using the default material. Which of course has the default maps that are incompatible with this guy. So let's go ahead and just quit out of this real fast. All right. So let's see. Let's have a look at what all is getting the default material. I think this guy is where the issue is, right? Material system get default. Because this is, let's see, wait a minute. Wait, why are we doing create default geometries? Why are we getting this? Oh, I see. Okay. This is for the default, and then this is for the 2D. Right. So yeah, this is definitely wrong. So what we need is material system get default UI. All right, and then basically just need a copy of this, and we'll rename it to UI, and change this to UI. We'll have to create that. Whoops. All right. Let's see. Get default UI. I think somewhere in here we actually have the creation of default materials. Destroy material. Create default material. Here we go. So we basically need to do the same thing, but for a UI material. So one thing I'm seeing in here is I don't think default material. Let's see. We're not carrying over the type from the config, which is unfortunate. So we probably ought to fix that too. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and just do this. Default UI material. Default UI material. Default UI material. And then diffuse map. Right. So we've got these. We don't need this one. We don't need that. Our texture map is just going to be an array of 1, right? So we actually don't need. We don't need that. This needs to be default UI material. This needs to be shader built-in UI. Default UI material. Right, let's change the error message as well. And one last one here. All right, let's go here and just duplicate this. create default material. Okay. I'm going to need to add a declaration up here towards the top. So just say create default UI material. And where that's called, we're just going to duplicate that. Default UI material. All right. So we've got that. Here's where we save off those, so that should be fine. Like I said, I'm really surprised this actually didn't bite us much sooner. Okay. So, was it geometry system that I think was doing that? Yeah, create default geometries. This should be default UI. Build. Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. What was that? Material system 333. Default UI material, not default material UI. Okay, there we go, built. Let's run. Okay. So it looks like we're still getting some sort of error, which is interesting. So let's have a look here. Huh. It's still getting default. Oh, wait a minute. Did we? Oh. I think I know something I forgot to do, actually. I think I forgot to change the name of that material, which is probably not a good thing. So default material name, yeah. So we need to define default UI material name. Default UI. Default UI material. Okay. And this should be default UI material name. Which I think is actually going to have other issues. Let's see. Material name. Acquiring from config. And releasing, I think, is also going to need to be adjusted. So we don't want to, if we have a material config that wants the default material, we're going to have to say return default UI material. And the more I think about this, the more I'm thinking I'm probably going to wind up refactoring this at some point because I'm not a huge fan of how much stuff I'm having to add to do this. Config name default UI material name. Return the address of state pointer default UI material. Okay. And this one is just going to be an or strings equal I. Name default material default UI material name. Right, so if we have either one of those things, we're not going to release it. All right, I think that is everything. I highly doubt that's going to completely fix the issue, but nope, I think it's still doing the same thing. It's, for some reason, it's still getting the wrong material. Yeah, it's still got the default material. And it's getting that directly from here. So I guess I need to do another material system get default search. Material system get default. So that's in render view UI. I suppose I should probably fix that one. Material system get default. Okay. What is this one doing here? So create geometry. So I wonder if this is actually failing at some point. I'm going to put a breakpoint here to catch that one if we hit it. We shouldn't be, but let's have a look at where else this is being done. So that's geometry system. It's the render view UI. We fixed that one. That should be the default material. That's just a string. That's the UI. And that is our test bed, which should be fine. So I don't see anything else that should be giving us that except this failure here. But that's on not that one. This one. That's the only one that I can see actually potentially doing it at this point. At least as far as what the code tells us. And that's what we're hitting. That's where it's coming in. Okay. So, our material system, our config material name, is what? test UI material. And for some reason that has failed. Okay. So let us check the logs. Aha, potential formatting issue found. Skipping line 15. Okay. Wait, what? Equals token not found. It's right there. Line 15. What are you on about? Unexpected opening tag prop at line 17. Okay. What am I missing here? Like I think my format is correct here. So we have map. Then we close the map. Then we have prop and we close the prop. This isn't complicated stuff. In fact, these properties are copied directly from the other file, so I do have this set to version 2. Type is UI. The shader, I guess, shader.builtin.ui, I guess we don't need that. But it should still work. Okay, let's take a look at the I mean, this is the problem here, but oh, thank you for the hydrate. I don't know how long ago that was, but thank you. I'll go ahead and do that. Formatting issue. It says it can't find the equal sign, but I'm looking right at it. what am I missing with this file? That, it's also bleating about this. I'm actually, if I compare this against another version 2 material file, it's literally the same format. I mean, this property was actually copied like directly, so I'm not sure why it's failing to handle this. I guess what I can do set a breakpoint here, and then set a breakpoint here. Yeah, there it is right there. So the trimmed value, rather. Oh, interesting. So we're hitting this logic down here, even though we're on a closing. Let me add a how did that get passed? We must have fallen into some sort of strange case here. So we're dealing with a closing tag here because our, well, I'll just add it, right? Trimmed 1, right? So we have a slash here. What is our parse mode? It is in map mode. So it should have fallen into this case here. So we push that. We break. Oh, why are we breaking here and not continuing? That should be a continue. Like, it should never actually fall through to this. and therein lies the problem. So these yeah, that should be a continue. Again, how did we never actually hit that problem before? Oh, right, because our parse mode is actually still going to be wrong. Because it's still in map. Okay. Okay, so before we can continue, this actually needs to be parse mode equals material parse mode global. So we should flip that back to global. And we're running. Kinda. So we're using the right materials here for our UI. Now the question is, what's going to happen when we load? Okay. So we're getting default here. Let me actually kill this breakpoint. And it looks like we've hit something here. So looks like we're trying to push into a empty array, if I had to guess. So let's see, we have resource data. Properties. Yep. We are indeed pushing into an empty array. So why are we doing that? Oh, right. This is where I had a left off thing. Okay. So we're creating the array here. Pushing to it there. Pushing to it there. And there. Why all of a sudden would that be? I don't think we're zeroing anything out. all this is done before we actually start parsing anything. It's only happening on diffuse color. Okay, so I don't see anywhere where this is actually being destroyed. Let me look through the call stack one more time. So geometry system acquire from config, create geometry. Material system acquire. Let's start there. So the name is oh wait, that's material. I don't want that. Column underscore B. Okay. We should have a material for that. So that shouldn't be a problem. So we're going to load up the material because it's a brand new one. We haven't loaded it yet. My dog is randomly barking in the background. What am I not seeing here? This is a version 1 material, which does make sense. Resource data. Version name, material type, unknown. This is completely... This is completely zeroed out. Like everything here is zeroed out. File handle's still good. So why would my resource data be zeroed out all of a sudden? Because we set these defaults, right? So like name definitely shouldn't be zeroed out, for example. We allocate this here. What line number are we on? Line number 5. So nothing crazy there either. The only thing that we're zeroing out is like these guys. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We are pushing the address of these guys, and that is not correct. We should just be pushing the value itself, not the address of it. I wonder if that's actually like, oops. I wonder if that's actually like corrupting our heap somehow. It's definitely not doing anything good, that's for sure. So the same with new property, right? We don't want to take the address of that because that's going to go out of scope in a second. So actually all of those things were wrong. Okay. I think that's all of them. So let's rebuild. Try again. Same thing. Yeah, same thing. Resource data. Zeroed out. This is probably going to be some stupid typo that I have in here somewhere. So let's see. I guess what on earth is actually zeroing this out, I wonder? And I don't even think it's actually... This isn't even a threading issue. This is happening on the main thread. So I think the only zeroing of memory that we actually do in here is just of the current map and current property. Let me verify that. We only have 5 of them in the whole file. So we have the raw variable name and the raw value. Other than that, it's the line buffer that gets cleared out. And that's the only things in the entire file that we actually zero out. If you guys see it, feel free to jump in, by the way. I'm sure it's probably something stupid I'm doing in here. I wonder if maybe it's something in these guys that we're doing. I think this is just read-only stuff, pretty much. Yeah, it is. It's just a bunch of string reads. So it's not that. I wonder if I stick a breakpoint here and rerun the application, if I'll see something different. Okay, so in here we have resource data. Oh, this is a different material, so it's probably not that. Column B. Okay, so this is the one that we actually had a problem with. Yeah, so version is zeroed out. These arrays actually still exist, though. Auto release is true. So if I step into this guy, so we take the name, just diffuse color, assign value. So if we go in here, the type is a float 32. We do string to float 32. We put the, oh, wait a minute. Well, that shouldn't actually. I don't think we set this up as a union, did we? No, we didn't. I do need to do something about this, though, but. All right, so that looks fine. Break. So we have our property assigned. All right. And then after we get back out of that function, looks like our arrays still exist. Oops, move this over a little bit. Okay, so it looks like the first time we look at it, it's correct. Okay. So this probably has something to do with it. We have log errors. So let's go ahead and look at that. All right, we actually have, we have a crap ton of them. So I'm actually going to kill this breakpoint. I should have thought to look at this earlier. Let's do, that's going to be console log. Oh yeah. So material assets are foobar. Unable to load material because its shader was not found. Shader.builtin.material. Really? The shader wasn't found? Shader.builtin.material. Okay, so the Falc rec and the Falcon were the first ones that tried to load. So I'm actually going to edit those first. So this is a version 1 material. I'm going to get rid of the shader and see if that fixes it. reload this guy real quick. Unable to load material because shader is not found. Built-in.material. Okay. So that's interesting that the default that it went to is different than this one. So shaders, we have our shader configs here. Shader.builtin.material. So do we have a problem loading that material, that shader rather? Aha, yes, we might have. Okay, format error, unexpected material type, vec4. I wonder what that's all about. Probably another typo somewhere. Unexpected material type vec4. That's really bizarre. Unexpected material type vec4. What material is that for? I guess I could spit out the name there too. And I'll just put resource data name. And actually, I think I could just quit this early because... Oh, interesting. We got some sort of errors over there, so... Test UI material. How did it get vector 4 out of that? Oh, maybe it was looking at this one? Yeah, this type should be independent of the other one. So it's like looking at this one and trying to apply it to the global scope. That is interesting. So version is greater than 2. type is UI. Oh, I suppose I should probably look at the mode. Parse mode. Global. So if we're in global mode, then do these things. Otherwise, trim var name. Oh, right. I've got two separate. I was wondering why that was an issue. That's why it's failing. So this actually this belongs up here. So else if parse mode is material parse mode property, then we can do that. Otherwise, format error unexpected variable type in mode. Okay. So we'll save that and come down here and nuke this one. Did we load? I don't think we did. Does not look like it. Debugger. Hello. All right, let's just relaunch this then, I guess. Okay, so we're still getting the same thing. Okay, so for some reason, this is still getting left out. So I'm going to leave this note here, and this is where I'm going to tie up the stream for tonight. So we did make some progress tonight on at least solving some issues that we had left over. And next time we'll go ahead and we'll pick this up. But I'm probably going to want to wind up doing a little bit more troubleshooting on this off camera and then go over the solution next time. Just because we've spent enough time on this so far and we really need to move forward. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to check this in to the branch. So let's see. we have all these files here that we've changed. So I'm going to add those. Bug fixes to for material system, still work in progress. All right, and I'll push these up to the repo so that you guys can have the most up-to-date logic there. If you guys want to play around with it, it's in the feature material Redux branch. And yeah, that's where I'm going to go ahead and cut it off for tonight. So thank you guys so much for joining. And again, keep an eye out on the YouTube channel where I'm going to be making some additional announcements alongside the ones that I made here tonight. So thank you guys so much for following along and being here. If you haven't followed, go ahead and do that. And also make sure to head over to the YouTube channel and go ahead and subscribe to me there to get all the other updates that are outside of these streams. So yeah, with that, thank you guys so much. And I'm going to just go ahead and let's see, who am I going to raid? I'm going to raid Ferret Software. As you guys probably have guessed, I raid them because the owner of the channel basically takes in ferrets that are used in lab experiments and stuff like that and creates a very good, safe place for them to live, takes care of them, and the stream basically helps support that. So it's a stream that runs 24/7, and it helps pay the bills for those things and allows them to actually take in more of them. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and shoot all of us over there, and I will see you guys in the next stream. See ya.